Welcome to everyone to our Earth Day gathering here. In many places around the world, people are gathering in person, some to celebrate and others to do ceremony. And as we all know, we're at a very important crossroads of human history here on Mother Earth as we see nature beginning to purify herself. And this is again relevant in many of the different teachings with the Hopi, the time of Koyaanisqatsi, going from the fourth world to the fifth world, this great purification, this great regeneration, where a lot of the old is falling away and the new is being midwifed. So today, this gathering, this summit here on Zoom is just another effort to keep in mind what's important about a harmonious relationship with the earth, but also remembering that a lot of this work starts with us, and it starts with our own ability to purify our intentions and to work in a good way, in harmony and sustainability, and to be respectful and honor of our mother, the earth, which without her, there is no life. So I wanted to start just with a moment of silence and a prayer, because part of this is not just to talk and to tickle ears, but it's to help to continue to weave together the people, the projects, and the organizations that are helping to midwife this regenesis, this rebirth, this recreation, this new paradigm, this new humanity, this new earth. But in doing that, we do that with the acknowledgement of our indigenous and traditional people who have stewarded the planet for so many centuries in a good way. And really through the ramping up of colonialism, of the patriarchy, of an extractive and capitalist mindset, we've come to this great crossroads where we have to get back onto the good path, onto the positive narrative. And that involves all of us, and that involves all of us working together and everybody doing their part, whether you're an artist or a musician, whether you work with agriculture, or you work with renewable energy or technology, whether you're doing things in your watershed or your region, your community, or you're doing things globally, if you're holding ceremony, whatever your calling, whatever your superpower is, now is the time to activate that. So we're ready to start, and I just want to make sure that everyone can hear. I just want to ask everyone, even though we're hundreds or thousands of miles away, maybe some of us even in other dimensions, that we can just close our eyes and really connect through the intelligence of our heart, through the spiritual field. And in doing that, that energy will be felt by all of us, but also felt by the earth, who's asking us to show up at this time on the planet to help with her healing and to help weaving the sacred hoop together, bringing the masculine and the feminine together in a good way. So we'll just have a moment and then we'll start with our first presenter. So again, thank you for joining today. So I invite you just to clap along with the rhythm. Let's start to connect our energies. Very honored to be here today. And again, I want to encourage, if you would like to communicate in the chat, please do so. This is an open council, although we do have people who are presenting, and we want to make sure that we're mindful to give them the time that they showed up and requested. So over the last few months, I think a lot of us have experienced kind of this acceleration of what's happening in the world. And part of that has been through the work that we do with Earthstock Foundation, is reaching out to, again, very simply, very spiritually centered and practically weave together people and projects around the world that are helping to restore the sacred hoop. So in doing that, our next two presenters, one I recently met, the other I met in a spiritual gathering in 2012. So it's this incredible full circle as we bring hoops within hoops together. But I want to introduce our first presenter from Colombia, and I'm hoping that she has connectivity right now. I know that there is a lot of weather happening there, and I do see her on the call. I'm not sure if she can. I want to introduce our two presenters from Colombia, Luciana Colibri. So welcome.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, we are having a rainstorm, the first in the year. We've been praying a lot for water here. It's been a very long drought. So definitely celebrating the beautiful blessing of our mother water. Okay, so thank you again for opening this space, for sharing this initiative. This is the Caretakers of Life School for the Gestation of a New Humanity. This is an initiative in memory of Mamo Palia, traditional Mamo, wisdom keeper of the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta. in his view for a strategy for the intercultural stewarding and sovereignty of ancestral territories and vulnerable bioregions. So I hope that in this little time, I'll be able to introduce you to the work that I've been doing here for the past 11 years in the Sierra. For those who may not know, the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta is called the heart of the world. It's Colombia, a bio region considered by UNESCO a sacred a patrimony site because it's a place with the highest mountain peaks with snow closest to the ocean. So that means a lot of things, but one of the things it means is that it's the shortest rivers, right? Because they are born in the snowy peaks and flow out into the ocean right in the same region. It means that the waters here are very crystal clear, and it's very unique to have the whole water cycle in one in one bioregion, right? So it makes this place a very unique place in terms of its biodiversity and also its home of 4 tribes: the Kogi, Arhuacos, the Wiwas, and the Cancuamos. So these people, this is a picture of one of their pueblos. Traditionally, they still live this way. And they're really meant and caretaking the ways of the origin still until today. For those that you may not know, the black line is the black line that you see surrounding the territory of the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta. There you see the Caribbean Ocean, right? So this is the territory that's designated as the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta within Colombia. And the Black Line Decree, it says here, this is a document from the Amazon Conservation Team. Colombia officially recognizes the ancestral territory of the indigenous communities of the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta as defined by the sacred sites of the Línea Negra, the Black Line, a ring of sacred sites around the base of the Sierra and home to the Kogi, Arhuaco, Wiwa, and Cancuamo people. So they have maintained the sacred sites surrounding their territory, and the government and international law has recognized, after many, many decades of struggle, this is ancestral territory to these 4 tribes. But of course, all of this is being interfered by sustained colonization, which began 500 years ago, as we know, and continues today with unsustainable development, ecological degradation, and the privatization of the ocean access points, as we see here, these beautiful resorts on the beach, and well, many other ecological threats that are happening around all of the territory. So this has made that this black line that I was showing you a moment ago, yes, has been interrupted. So this is becoming an ecological problem for the Sierra Nevada and for the world. This place is known as the heart of the world. So the equilibrium and the protection of this place is a worldwide and planetary call. As some of you know, there have been some viral videos going around talking about the messages of the elder brothers, no? So this is something to keep in mind, because this is a very delicate bioregion, and the Mamos have already spoken their message to the world. I'm not saying anything new. This is kind of just a very brief summary for those who may not know about the history of this place. So I want to say a little bit about how this activation started. It started for me. This is a very long history for the Kogis, but for me, I'm not a Kogi native, as you can tell. So for me, this started in 2011 in the Sacred Valley of the Incas, Peru, with a gathering of more than 700 representatives of indigenous cultures that I was summoned to organize by the Queros Nation. So I was requested to organize this gathering of indigenous sovereignty and education in the temple of Sacsayhuaman. And it was the first time in 500 years, you can see it better in this picture, all the people that gathered here, was the first time that this sacred site was used again for ceremony. It's now an archaeological site. They're called a ruin, no? Visited by thousands of tourists every year. But for ceremony, it was the first time it was allowed to be used for a traditional ceremony. So this was really historical and a prophecy for the Inca people. So this, of course, was in 2011, right? Starting before 2012, and the prophecies of the Pachacuti and of the everything we know that's happening, I think, in this call. No? So this was a beginning for me. This was an activation. I definitely felt that after this, the consultations showed that there was a new task, and this was in the Sierra. So concerned and deeply moved by the state of our planet, I traveled to the Sierra Nevada and Santa Marta in search of the Mamo's teachings and met Mamo Palia. Immediately as soon as I arrived, I invited my family and myself to stay and begin a spiritual pedagogy for the intercultural guardians of ancestral territories and vulnerable bioregions. So Mamo Palia invited us to stay. We came concerned about what was happening on the planet. We already had received this prophecy activation in Sacsayhuaman, Cusco, as the beginning of the Pachacuti confirmation. And we were told that in the Sierra, we would receive instructions that were needed for these times. So we traveled here, met this Mamo, and this Mamo invited us to stay. I organized the first gathering of intercultural visions in the Sierra Nevada in 2014. And the Mamo's consultation was that we were to find a pure land where we could return to nature to learn the laws of origin directly from the source. This is a task that he gave us during this gathering. And from this experience, which would take 2 years of prior spiritual preparation and then 9 years in residence immersed in natural teachings, after this, we would be ready to pollinize the intercultural stewardship of ancestral territories and vulnerable bioregions. Why was this? Because, of course, we are people that are not from this territory. We are not considered native or indigenous. So we sat with this Mamo and we said, well, how can non-indigenous people help the indigenous people protect their land and their territory? So this was very interesting. And as a matter of fact, on the other day on our call with the Indigenous Sovereignty Summit that Michael organized, this was the topic of the other day's call, Indigenous sovereignty. So I requested permission from the local Kogi chief to talk about this in these calls so that we can start bringing the message for some of the strategies that have been used here through us as an experiment of training non-indigenous people into the culture and the tradition of the indigenous people to buy land and to declare it ancestral territory with their guidance, of course, and accompaniment. And so in this way, we are helping reestablish the Black line. We are helping recover land that was taken away from the indigenous people, right? And returning it by us living and stewarding it, practicing the ancestral ways. And of course, this was the interesting part of this experience and investigation was, of course, as non-indigenous people, we were asked to investigate a pedagogy to be able to transmit this and to teach this to the world, because the Sierra Nevada has a message for the world. But the Mamo said, this is very difficult for us to explain. We don't speak your language. Most Kogis don't speak Spanish or much less English, and many of them haven't even had much contact with civilization at all. And he also said, we don't understand your problems. So it's going to be your task, referring to me, pointing at me, to stay in the Sierra and learn about what we can offer as a message and teachings to the world. So I decided to stay on for this. This was a immense responsibility and experience. And Mamos Palia's message was that nature speaks the universal language. So by returning to her, we would find a way to transmit the essence behind the complex spiritual structure of the Kogi people who live their lives in accordance to the laws as the planet's guardians, sustaining with their spiritual work the balance of the whole world. So we were summoned to go back to nature as the maestra, right? Mother Nature, the experience in nature as the universal language for our memory to activate. This Mama told us that we are all indigenous people, no matter where we come from. And some people, their traditions and their spirituality is still alive, so they have a cultural system that sustains. But all of us have this in our DNA, so it's about awakening our ancestral memory, and we can do this by going back to nature. And he summoned us to make this experience to see what it would give. So the Kogi people are of a priest lineage. Their entire culture still today holds strong to keep the ancient traditions alive. They have maintained their original territory and practices over the 500-year colonization in modern times. Their teachings are held very sacred and secret, and so this was an immense task and responsibility. Most Kogis do not speak Spanish nor have had much contact with civilization. Yeah. This is a picture of some of their dances we did with them on the ocean. So he set out to find the place that he envisioned would be a sanctuary for peace, unity, and a school for intercultural stewardship of ancestral territories in vulnerable bioregions, a strategy for the protection and regeneration of our planet Gaia. And we found a beautiful 87-hectare land with crystalline waterfalls and native forests. It had been severely damaged by illicit coca production, and this sacred plant was calling for these lands' restoration. Once we found the land and begun payments, Mamu Palia passed. So in memory of Mamu Palia, who passed away in 2017, we have stayed strong and we have continued this legacy to the best of our abilities in faith and sustainment, living on this mountain. I myself spent there 7 years without leaving. So after he said the 9 years would be up, we would be ready for giving this message to the world. And the 9th year has been up this year. It has finished this first 9-year part of this mission. So I'm here the first time talking and presenting about what we've been doing here. This has been a 9-year-long initiation and gestation period for this Mamo's vision. So we created the Caretakers of Life School for the Gestation of a New Humanity. This was the baby that was birthed after this 9-year gestation. We call this the inner revolution in times of awakening. So I brought to you some slides about what we cover in this pedagogy, because what we realized is that in order for us to return to nature and the laws of origin, we need to go through a literal rebirth. Like Michael was saying, we're midwifing a new humanity. And here I started to practice midwifery with grandmothers. So in my studies as a midwife, I investigated all of the inner preparation work for conception and gestation, and how we can apply this for literally midwifing or new humanity, and how we can establish this work in ourselves. So of course we can become portals for new beings to come into the world, and also for ourselves to become a new being into the world. We're midwiving ourselves, we're midwiving new children, we're midwiving new projects. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in this presentation, which is very brief. But we also understand that the projects that we're birthing in these times also need a spiritual stewardship. So our lands we're guardianing, stewarding, our projects, our children, ourselves, all of this becomes, in essence, a project of regestation and regeneration. Restoration of the planet has to do with the restoration of the human seed. So here we go. I'm going to dive into these slides about the school and what we've investigated and what we've brought forth as a pedagogy and a methodology for the midwiving of a new humanity. And it goes like this. It says, these are times of uncertainty. We are called to face the unknown, to relearn, to navigate this unknown with tools that ensure the survival of life. Life on Earth is at risk, especially human life. We have proven ourselves to be expert eroders of any environment where we are located. The exploitation of our beloved terrestrial elements and the consequences of degradation are leading us towards the opportunity to rethink how to inhabit this home. And each one of us has contributed towards this slow degradation with our carelessness. The light of this great planetary shadow is the opportunity to create a true revolution, one that begins from within. First, taking responsibility for our actions driven by our shadow, looking at ourselves and transforming ourselves without suffering or causing suffering, because consciousness simply turns on a light through which we can look at each instance of life and move with more wisdom and act more powerfully on all those proposals for planetary change that we need for these times of awakening. We are called to resume a lost education, one that gives us elements to face planetary changes and prepare for the new times. We hear the call of the earth to awaken as its guardians. We understand that this does not remain only in the practical as ecological knowledge or sustainable design in isolation, but is born from the development of our inner being, and from there understand our patterns of relationships with Mother Earth, experiencing its cycles and mysteries from the discovery of our inner mystery. Therefore, we cannot address ecology without first addressing the ecology of being. How can we contemplate generating a planetary change, which is an external change, if we have not resolved and generated a change within ourselves internally? All is mind. The universe is mental. The Kybalion. This is also a very Kogi understanding, because here in the Sierra we understand a Luna, which is the quantic dimension, right? So through the quantic dimension, through the work on the inner planes, we can transform reality. This is about the spiritual activism, about doing the work inside, regenerating inside so that we can regenerate our territories. It's this peaceful activism for the guardianship of our earth. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. The Kabbalion again. So again, here in the Sierra, this is La Ley Se, the law of origin. It speaks of the laws, the universal laws that sustain life, and that the problems of the planet arise because we have stepped away, we've moved away from the original laws. And so this is the consequence of moving away from the original laws. And when we asked the Mamo Palia, when we asked him, how can we return to the original laws if this is the origin of our problems? We need to understand this quickly. And he looked at us and he said, well, that is a very long study. It cannot be taught by any Mamo, and it's not written in any book. It's written in nature. So by returning to nature, that is the open book. Return to nature, and through nature, you will restore the understandings of how to live within the original law, because she is the law manifested. So this was why he sent us to purchase this land and to live in this land for all these years, so that we could remember the laws of origin for ourselves through our own embodied experience, and then be able to share some of those ways of returning to those laws with all of us through this initiative. The Caretakers of Life School was born in 2020 to guide us as a light in the tunnel of uncertainty, having identified that to sow ourselves the seeds of new humanity, it is necessary to first weed the land where it is going to be planted and cleanse the seed, starting this new world spiraling from the inside out. So yes, we talked about the gestation process. We recognize ourselves as a new humanity awakening. We are the mestizo people, the fifth people in our blood and DNA, the fifth tribe, the fifth gente. In our records of other lives, Akashic, and from many perspectives, a new humanity that recognizes and awakens knowledge that has passed through in many soul states. We are a new people. We are those mestizo people who awaken those memories and knowledge upon returning to the earth, to nature, as a great portal to remember, to reconnect with our origin. We are the union of the eagle and the condor, from America and Europe, from the East and the West. We are the hummingbird people, people who care for life. This was a result of a consultation with many elders about the hummingbird prophecy. This concept of the hummingbird being born from the unity of the condor and the eagle was something given to us by several elders who explained to us, who are we, the non-indigenous people returning to the earth, and like the hummingbird with many colors, bringing together the colors of the different traditions and the different teachings in East and West, and with all of that mestizage of all the different cultures in our blood, because we're not from one lineage, right? We're a mix of European, of American, some have African and even Asian blood. So we are the hummingbird people. That's what some of the elders have told us here. And our function is to bring unity. We embody the unity. So it is necessary to be people again, people of the earth. It is necessary to regenerate the human seed and discover how to reprogram our DNA to install new ancestral codes. What do we need to wake up? But also to create and build new proposals, projects, crops, children's creations, the seeds that we conceive, gestate, and give birth to the world. So this we call the hummingbird people, la gente colibri. It's the new humanity that cares for life. And for this reason, we have researched for 22 years to generate a regeneration proposal. The Caretakers of Life School is designed to transmit this methodology to rebirth ourselves. This is a completely spiritual and magical question, and is guided only to people who feel the call of the return to the origin and call of Mother Earth. So it's a methodology for birthing new humanity that allows us to reconnect with ourselves, others, and the earth in a harmonious way, recognizing ourselves as agents of peace, as servants and caregivers of life. It's recognizing ourselves as humans again. So recognizing that we are all co-creators of our reality, but we have not received an education that prepares us with the tools we need to co-create from a planetary consciousness, a consciousness that guards for and stewards life, to create from the natural biological rhythms that respect the laws that support life. Projects with roots that are sustained and regenerated in their communities, and people and which are birthed from within. This is about project birthing and midwifing also, like I said before. Our purpose is to midwife the birth of people, new humanity, from the individual being with a community and planetary consciousness, to unlearn the patterns of the West, decolonize ourselves from the individualistic and extractivist experience, and fill ourselves with new ancient codes to be reborn and reconstruct the world in a manner consistent with our responsibility to care for life and the planet. So as I was explaining earlier, what we understood is that the new ancestral codes, the ways to reconnect with these codes, we were guided to understand that there are two ways, through nature and through the native communities, right? So nature is a living book of wisdom. It works through the law of origin, the universal laws that sustain life, laws that are the invisible order that maintains harmony among all creation, laws that we have forgotten, and therefore our lives have moved away from them. We have moved away from the natural balance.
Great. Thank you so much. And again, I know we're going to be talking more in the future. You are involved in the Earthstock Eco Spiritual Summit that's happening August 19th through 25th. But thank you for an amazing presentation. We're going to stay in Colombia right now because, you know, part of this whole, what I call the regenesis that's happening is we're connecting with the ancient and traditional knowledge of our indigenous cultures, which also encompasses a lot of different spiritual traditions. But in that, we're allowing the old of what doesn't work to fall away and to allow ourselves kind of like imaginal cells, if you've heard of that before. You know, when a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, it's not that it goes in and just grows wings and it comes out. That it actually goes in, and on a cellular level, every aspect of the caterpillar starts to morph and transmutate and transform and change. And then it comes out as a butterfly. So, you know, part of the verbiage we use right now of regenesis is new humanity, new earth, new paradigm, new design. So I want to thank Colibri for her presentation because it was very concise. And not only for her presentation, I will say, we're not doing all this work just to give people platforms for infomercials. We're actually calling forth people and projects that want to weave together and collaborate. And there's more I could say about that. And before I introduce our next speaker from Colombia, you know, in this whole regenerative model, people tend to think, oh, regenerative, it's sustainability, which I will say we're in this point of our history now. We can't just try to be self-sustainable anymore. We've known about self-sustainability through the indigenous communities for thousands of years. We've been talking about it here in North America, where I am, for 50, 60 years. But still, we're still experiencing these ecological collapses, the contamination of water, of soil, the introduction of, you know, the petrochemical and pharmaceutical industries, which have profound negative impact on ourself, our health, and the environment. But, you know, we think of these things, and then Earth Day, but within this Earth Day, and again, Professor Chatner will be on later, which started 50 some odd years ago, was very much about being green, sustainability. So now that's an aspect of it, but now the verbiage that's really pertinent and the action is called regenerative, because we have to allow to stay what works, what doesn't work, fall away and become compost. We have to innovate and co-create and collaborate to actually create something new. And that could be whatever skill set you have. Some people are focused on spirituality, arts, culture, traditional knowledge. Other people are focused on health and wellness of spirit, mind, body. We have renewable energy and green technologies. We also have things that are dealing with economics and sovereignty, governance, media, infrastructure. So again, within this regenerative wheel, we call it full spectrum regenerative design, based on a lot of Barbara Marx Hubbard's wheel of co-creation. We have to weave together these different spokes of the sacred hoop. We have to re-engage and bring all of these pieces together to have this great regenesis, or this regenaissance of the human condition. So with that, our next presenter does a lot of things. He's in Colombia, but he's also one of the stewards and founders of Gaia Union, and is very involved in not just networking and weaving, but also having templates for collaboration. So I want to welcome to our call our brother Felipe from Gaia Union. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, family. Well, glad to be here celebrating. Hey, Patricia. Well, now I'm more happy. So, well, yeah, celebrating this day that for us in the Gaia network represents also like the first seeds that we planted as a vision in 2013, the first gathering that we did here in Colombia, one of the first transformational festivals, which actually it was not a festival, it was more like a gathering where we had elders and ceremonies and a little bit of music, a little bit of everything. So we were indeed celebrating, but well, of course, we know the Earth's Day is every day, but it's a good window. And I guess now it's just too much happening on one single day, but well, at least we are a few of us here to share and celebrate. So, well, I'm especially celebrating today that many things happened today without even planning. And yeah, exactly. It's more about how the best gift that we can give to our mother is that her children are uniting in coming and looking for harmony and to, well, get better, be better sons and daughters. So with that, um, I would maybe just share a little bit of what we are doing from Gaia, so you can have like a more clear. When I use our new website that is not even public yet, but it's almost ready. Just to have like a little. So well, from all the layers that we have been exploring, how to call this network, etc., or this movement, we have come to the conclusion that Gaia, for now, it's like the most universal name that we can find for our mother, and that almost anybody in the world would understand. We don't have to think in English, we don't have to think in Spanish. It's more like kind of a neutral word that most of the people can understand. And well, we are like a hub, like an ecosystem, trying to stewardship all forms of life and doing its best to coordinate or basically to manifest a thriving new Earth and humanity. Our mission is basically love organized, to, to really see that love can be put into practical actions, into basically our daily lives in everything that we do. And that we just have to create a human container because as children that are still learning, we need a container to really, yeah, really be safe, let's say, and between our relations. We know as humans we have a lot of conflicts, sometimes for silly things, sometimes more strong things, but at the end there's a solution for everything. And if we create that kind of containers, we might be able to transcend and to learn, to achieve that harmony. So we have a framework that can be summarized in 3 words: coordination, collaboration, and communication. Actually, I will go a little bit further on that. Of course, this is for everybody, for anyone in the world that has a little bit of energy or a little bit of time that want to put into the abundance basket to be able to, yeah, to put something into the shared table. Of course, taking care of all aspects: physical, psychological, sociocultural, economic, environmental, and taking into account all the different capitals, not just, of course, not just financial capital, but all capital counts I could go, I can explain that a little bit further, but yeah, basically is, as I share with my dear grandma Patricia, is like we also want to take care of the people that are normally not taking care because they are taking care of children or elders, and all this is what the container that we also are creating, that is taking care of everyone, not just productive systems or productive projects. So this is just a vision. So to explain a little bit more of these three key elements is coordination. We are relating this to the governance. So we are proposing a distributed holonic governance, which means that it's really distributed and not centralized in anyone or not even in one main group. It's, even if we have great leaders or elders, we still want that the power is distributed as best as possible, so that there's enough balance, let's say, to participate and to take decisions, and of course having a trustful web, basically a web of trust, where of course there's people that we will be able to trust a little bit more because they have demonstrated through the years and through their actions that they are, let's say, a little bit more trustable in that sense. So but it's also an inclusive governance, because we are not doing this governance alone. It's not just for a few close friends that we are creating this. We are inviting any network from any part, from any group that we don't know, to have a seat on the table, on the governance circle, have a place on this. The second one is collaboration, which we are relating it to the economy aspects. So it's how we are proposing to create the flow for abundance, to reach all the different the people and communities and projects, and not, of course, not just money, but all sort of resources, information, tools, knowledge, etc. And communication, which is, of course, one of the really key aspects that we need to have more efficient communication. So, for example, we don't have to be repeating the same things every single day, or things like that, just making communication as effective and efficient as possible, having all the knowledge in libraries that are accessible to all people, etc. It's translations, things, everything related to communications in all sort of shapes, multimedia in general. Well, I don't know, just very quickly, there's three main branches that we are proposing. One is called Gaia Impact Hub, which is focused on philanthropic aid. So we do as much as we can as free donations, or I mean, like, without expecting any financial return, as much as we can. We complement or balance that a little bit, doing some investments, but investments that are not for personal profit, but just to be able to reinvest in our own ecosystem. So basically, the productive systems that create financial returns are the ones that are permitting us to also give free donations. And the local ecohabitats hub, which is basically the network of land-based projects and communities by regions, watersheds, etc., so that they can be interconnected and also receive funding. So they basically manage their own funding. directly, and they take all the decisions in the local level. This is, well, just to share a little bit, this is our internal organigram where we do all the different operations. So, well, that's not very interesting. So, well, it's just the important maybe aspect to differentiate is that in a traditional organization, probably you won't find too much spiritual aspects there. You will find that we will be working closely with spiritual leaders and elders to do all these different spiritual works like offerings, prayers, ceremonies in general, and of course taking care of self-development and accompanying the human to unleash their greatest potential, including spiritual aspects holistically. And well, this is just some principles: holonic governance, regeneration, empowerment, collaboration, innovation, adaptability. Basically what I was sharing before, and well, this is a little bit more information, but I guess that's around the 30 minutes that I was giving.
Hello, Michael. Hello, everyone. Yes, this is amazing. I'm so thrilled to be here to listen to all this amazing work that's being done around the world. Later on, I'll be talking about three main things, really. I'll be talking to you about Divina World Foundation. It's a nonprofit that we just launched in January with an overarch goal to open and build at a place to be determined the Latin and Indigenous World Music Hall of Fame. So you'll hear a little bit about that and how we're going to do that under the Divina World Foundation organization. I'm also going to talk about and take you on a little trip, no pun intended, but just a little tour of a little bit of history of hemp CBD. That is one of the things that I am focused on in one of my other projects and under CBD University. And we are going to make also a special announcement about a project between Green to Gold and based in Mexico, and that's one of the largest ed tech companies. And I think everyone will probably be pretty excited about that announcement. So in a nutshell, that's what's coming up in my segment in about half hour or so, I think. And that's it for now.